we can open the discussion now for the papers that you have presented today with Dr. Mustafa Al-Ani and with Dr. Ali Magdi and with Dr. Abdullah. So if anybody of the audience has any question, please raise your hand, and I think the authors of the paper are ready to answer any of your question. Anybody had a question? I have a question. Can I ask you, Dr. Mustafa? Dr. Mustafa, are you here?
Sure, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. I really like the way you understand the mathematics of the Islamic shapes and how you try to formulate it on the non-flattening surfaces. But I would like to ask you if we would like to apply it on the other ornaments, not only on the Islamic. What is the main factors, or what are the priorities of factors that you have taken in consideration?
Well, yes, that's a fantastic question. I think it is if those geometries like show some kind of symmetry characteristics, like it's either rosette or periodic or quasi-periodic, I think it's still applicable to be applied to those. In our research, we a little bit tried to focus on the Islamic cases because, we know the mathematics behind them, we know their morphological structures and so on. So we wanted our research to be more about that cases. But to answer your question, I think it is applicable as long as it's kind of can be included in one of the categories of symmetries that we identified. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for this clarification.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question for Abdul Wahab. Abdul Wahab, very interesting research. Really liked your approach. I just wanted to ask, because I also have interest in mass customization and those things. And I read Brian Kokolarevich's book. It's a very interesting one. I just wanted to ask you about what kind of parameters or constraints from kind of the Saudi traditional architecture that you incorporated or you plan to incorporate in your algorithm, so the products that will be produced from your algorithm can be considered as good fit for the context of where you're proposing to have those houses in.
Ali, you are muted. Abdul Wahab, you are muted. Unmute your voice.
Yeah, sorry. Very nice question. So based on what you've seen, I have studied all marketers up to now. So I felt there's very huge gap between client and the provider, real estate or whatever. So I tried to make something very simple to combine both of them in terms of having clients' needs and then what the state provides. So this is based on parametric modeling I'm trying to do, which is via website. So we're trying to rather just go to for instance, like a company or office, rather than go there, they can directly, when they think, just keep with their smartphone or website, they can use directly. So that's trying to do, based on that, we're gonna make our parametric, which is, it's gonna be easier. We already have set of the parametric based on my interviews, because based off one of my methodology, I interviewed 20 offices in Saudi Arabia, which is been in Saudi market more than 10 years. So they have very well known what the basic needs of Saudi people. So based off that, I tried to have Excel sheet to have each individual room size, which is already defined well. There's a limitation. So based on that, we're gonna create our parametric method, as I said in the interface, could be linked with the website, internet browser, any like smartphone. These days, everyone could use it, even for new generation. Hopefully, it's answered your question.
Yeah, you did. Thank you, Abdul Wahab. I think in the kind of research that you're doing, is the most important thing is the algorithm is to be really contextualized within the region that you're trying to propose those solutions for. The main thing that you really need to be aware of is that you're not going to produce a generic housing solution that's used in Australia and Saudi Arabia and different part of the world, because basically these are different cultures, different needs, and so on. So if you just like, that's but very interesting research.
Yeah, based on what you were just, I'm just quick one, because this is what I've just shared with you is part of my first part of my research, which is parametric. There's another part which is there's no time to talk about it, of course, because we're just limited with 15 minutes. So there's also, I studied courtyard, which is belongs to Middle Eastern shape, which is courtyard. So I studied privacy of men and women, why there's a lot of like factors I already studied, but unfortunately there's no time. Based on my topic, I just try to focus in such a parametric part.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I have a question to I don't know who's the last presenter. I guess Usama, right? Dr. Ali. Because I can't see where's Dr. Ali. I'm looking for. Okay. So I have it's really interesting presentation, but I was concerned about what software did you use? It is when I like heard in your first part of your presentation, it's kind of very fabulous way to like describe your presentation. It was like attract my attention. So at the end, I tried to find which software did you use or you're gonna use, because it's gonna be very helpful for us to follow which direction you're gonna go. Probably we can give you some tips based on what we have learned.
Yes. So we have like a digital part and fabrication part and experimental part. Like the digital part, we use like Rhino and the Grasshopper, and we are working on the definitions that working on bending samples, so that you can predict your deflection angle after putting your parameters of your sample, like texture, thickness, proportion, and something like this. And after that, we use like digital fabrication techniques using 3D filament wood and make the experiment. The experiment documented using Kinovia software, which measures the angles of deflection of the samples in real scale. Okay, so that we are working also on like improving the parameters and improving the programming of the definition inside the Grasshopper to make like a back and forth between the practical part and digital part.
I see.
I think, sorry, Abdullah, I think Samir also has a question to Dr. Ali. So
actually, it's not to Dr. Ali, it's for Abdullah. Abdul Wahab, sorry.
Someone said Abdullah.
Sorry, it's Abdul Wahab, yeah. Interesting research, and you've been through a lot of developing in the case studies and experimenting other parameters. You've mentioned the BIM, right? How did you integrate the BIM with this modular? And what was the BIM role in this modular mass construction? Would you elaborate more on that, please?
Yeah, sure. So my next step gonna be there's a plugin contribute between Rhino and Grasshopper and Revit. So there's a plugin called Rhino in Revit. So I'm gonna try use this is based on we are in the architecture department, so I'm trying to focus all construction documents from Revit, which is more deal with the structure stuff. Grasshopper is just for modeling and giving us the way of our algorithm gonna be, because it's easier to have both of them. In these days, everything is getting like updating itself. So I'm trying to have both of them in one platform, which is use both of them in one time.
So basically, the BAM was like a structural
Exactly.
analysis, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
And Dr. Mustafa Alani, I have a question for you too. You've been exploring geometric and Islamic forms, right? So artificial intelligence generative designs now is being so popular and posted on social media so much. So did you consider using AI algorithm to develop more geometric Islamic forms?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. Thank you, Dr. Summer. I previously published a paper on using AI to kind of generate Islamic geometric patterns, and basically like we had like collected some samples from historically existing designs, and we classified them, we coded them, and we started to understand the morphological similarities between them. And then we identified some gaps in designs that what could be recognized as Islamic, but there is no historical evidence of such designs exist. So basically identifying a language for the Islamic geometric patterns, and then identify those kind of gaps. And then we used GANs to learn from these historical designs that we have and try to produce something new. And AI is advancing really quickly. Like that paper was last year, and this year we have Midjourney and DALL-E and a lot of exciting things that is happening. So it is something that I consider continue on working to using AI to explore geometric designs. And I've done that, but also for this year, I was interested about how to derive new 3D forms from two-dimensional designs. And looking at the historical example, we can see that this process historically was, applied already by artisans and mathematicians and so on. So we wanted to identify the categories that or the ways by which this process was applied, and also we tried to propose a method by which we can explore the Latin space, the right term, of what could be possibly also be generated, and also visiting in the process territories. Yeah, so that was something of interest for this year. Hope I answered your question.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we still have like 10 minutes. If any of the audience has a question. Anybody? Okay, Abdul Wahab, can I come back to you again with a very quick question? Abdul Wahab, because your research is very interesting actually, and but I have a concern about the user satisfaction because there is a lot of like factors and related to human culture, and I think we have to be sure that we have to measure the user satisfaction correctly. So my question is, how you gonna measure or evaluate the user satisfaction in your research?
Yeah, that's very great question. So based on what we just explored, I have a group, and I'm one of the client of the Saudi marketing, which is I'm not satisfied what they provide, and plus up to now, they didn't give us our home. So I bought my home 2019. Up to now, due to coronavirus, they extend the like our time to have our home. So based on this, and I have like 1,400 other clients. Based on that, I'm trying to see what direction, what people likes, what people don't like. So there was a very huge gap between the provider and the client satisfaction, which is in the beginning, they give you very attractive way to sell their product. Unfortunately, when you're stuck with it, you can see how you're gonna suffer from lots of things. They give you permission. Unfortunately, in the end, you will see there's no like return point from what you just got it, because they promised you they're gonna deal with you in the best way. Unfortunately, when you buy it, you're gonna stuck with it. There's no return because you already paid your money. There's no rules or there's no agreement. If you're not happy within some certain days, you're gonna refund your money. So based on that, I'm trying to have exactly in the beginning, when you in the early stage, we're trying to like client satisfaction in the early stage, because otherwise we can go further, because it's gonna be lots challenging. So because of that, I'm trying to say in the beginning, we're gonna give them not full like option of customization. We're gonna give him part, like, because we can in general in our life, we can give anyone like fully accessible for everything. So based on that, we try to narrow down to a specific choice and part of the design in the early stage. So based on that, we try to have their, of course they're gonna have more obstacle, but at least they have like the quality of life. It's gonna be more successful, because that's part of the Saudi vision. They want to try to give Saudi people like quality of life. Based on that, one of the vision of that, we can do this thing, which is with home. We can give them a choice to have their own, and then they're gonna be satisfied with it. Otherwise, if you give him something already made and giving them for no reason because of need, it doesn't make sense of lifestyle and quality of life. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, thank you, Abdul Wahab.
You're welcome.
Can I have a final question to Dr. Ali Ibrahim with the last paper that we have seen? Dr. Ali. Ali معك? Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Ali, it's a very small question about the amount of alternative that you have produced to test the algorithm that you have created. The samples, the number of samples, how many of samples that can be measured or satisfied to evaluate the product in the experimental phase?
Yes, that's a good question. So first of all, our research is to concern the difference between the different geometries of the skin or the sample skin. So the first one with a plane, second with the textures, third one with textures and chemical composite. So our future work is working on differentiate more variables on the skin geometries with the different designs, with different considerations, and also let's make a difference in reaction to the humidity because of the different geometry composition. So our future work is to work in more geometries and maybe multiple chemical composite like hydrogel is also in our consideration besides the potassium chloride. So our future work is working on this part, but this research is concerning the difference and focus on the difference between the plain single layer of the wood 3D printed sample and printed with geometries and printed with chemical composition. But this will be very good for the research in the future plans.
Okay, Dr. Ali, but do you use local wood? I mean, from the same context, or you export wood from outside of the site?
From outside. Yeah, we get the 3D filament. I think from outside of Egypt, and we are working on different also companies because they have like a different amount of wood powder inside the filament. So
Okay.
there's like 30% of powder wood inside the filament, 40%, 25. So we're experimenting the maximum amount of wood amount inside the filament in the future work also, and that's.
Thank you, Dr. Ali. Anybody else has a question? Any question before closing the panel? Okay, Dr. Mustafa, do you want to add anything before closing? Abdul Wahab or Dr. Ali?
I just want to say thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Mustafa. Thank you, Dr. Samar, for the wonderful session. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the research of Abdul Wahab and Dr. Ali as well. And thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you, Dr. Mustafa. Dr. Abdul Wahab, do you would like to say something before closing the session?
Thank you for attending my presentation, and your feedback was very, very nice to me. I will take in my consideration what you just also say. And thank you for all of you.
Thank you, Abdul Wahab. Dr. Ali, do you want to say something before closing?
No, thank you for all of you, and thank you for this presentations and this beautiful coordination.
So before you hang out, how can I get your contacts, email, number? I need it.
We can go. I think they're gonna share some information after the conference. So on your email. So just check your email regularly, and I think you're gonna have a lot of information after that. Okay, Abdul Wahab.
Thank you so much.
So the second panel with the theme of parametric design and digital fabrication has closed, and now you can move to the coffee break. And afterwards, we have the second keynote speaker with Dr. Khalid Al-Ashri. He is gonna talk about digital fabrication and robotics application at 2:20 at 20 afternoon. Okay, 12:20. Thank you so much for the audience, for the authors of the papers, and I hope you join us later on for further conferences. Thank you so much, and see you soon.
Thank you so much.
See you after.